A new children's book is telling a deeply personal story rooted in one of the most painful chapters in Canadian history, the 60s scoop. I Am My Name follows Naguset's experience as a child taken from her family during the 60s scoop and her journey back to her culture and her loved ones. Naguset is director of the Native Women's Shelter of Montreal, co-founder of Resilience Montreal, and co-author of I Am My Name. And she joins us now. Hi, Naguset. Great to speak with you.
Hi.
So I read the book this morning, and I have to tell you, I was deeply moved by it. I read a lot of children's books because I have a 3.5-year-old. So I spend a lot of time reading kids' books, and I just thought this one was so beautifully done. The illustrations are incredible. The storytelling is phenomenal. I think the messaging is really important. So before we sort of get into really what went into this book, I would love if you could just give us a little overview, if you feel comfortable, of what happened to you during the 60s scoop and why you decided to turn your experience into a children's book.
Oh boy, that's a loaded question.
Yeah, no kidding.
Okay, so you want me to talk about what happened to me?
Yeah, so I think for someone who may hear the 60 scoop and say, what is that? I don't even know what that is.
So my mother, Janet Murray, who's passed away, had gone to residential school. Her experience was devastating. And, she had 7 children, and all of us were placed at one time or another. But my sister and I, Sonia, stayed in a foster home together for I guess a period of time. And then I was taken by the AIM program, which is Adopted Indian or Métis program. My sister woke up and found that I was gone and was so confused and ended up going back to my mom, and both had no idea what happened to me. And that is sort of the legacy of the 60 scoop, that children were just scooped out, brought into new families, and their names were changed, and they're immersed into a whole new culture. And that is pretty much what the book is about, except that, when I was adopted, I had the most incredible bubby. Just like wonderful, wonderful grandmother, and she was the one who basically saved me.
How old were you when you were taken from your sister?
I was almost 3.
Wow.
Yeah, and I had no memories of it. When I finally when I met my sister, she was the one who told me everything. She goes, "You don't remember? You don't remember being in the same bed? You don't remember when they came with the flashlights?" And I'm like, "Nope. I have no memory. I just remember being adopted, and I was first adopted. I was living in Dollar Des Ormeaux, and then eventually we moved to Westmount. So, I only remember, memories of when I was living in that new home, adopted home."
Do you consider that a good thing? I mean, obviously you want memories of your sister, but do you think maybe it was almost like self-protection that you don't remember that night?
Absolutely, because I had been through an enormous amount of trauma.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, the first time I spoke to my sister, she said to me, "I took a lot of beatings for you."
Ugh.
I was like, "What?" And then when I actually got the paperwork from my file that was at it was Batshaw, but it wasn't
Right.
Batshaw, it was the Family Child Services. So they have a report on what happened to me. And it showed that I had actually been in the hospital many times, but between 10 days after I was born until I was about 3. So there was a lot of violence within the family, and my sister thought that she took the brunt of it, or she tried to. That was her memories, right? She was incredibly protective of me. And, it's weird because we had such a strong bond when we were young, and then as soon as we reunited, we had that bond again. It was quite amazing.
That is, I'm so glad that you guys were able to recapture that. Why a children's book? I've heard your story a few times now. I've been fortunate to hear you tell it. And I mean, you could write a memoir, I think, but why did you specifically choose a children's book for your story?
Okay, let's be super clear. I did not choose to do a children's book.
Interesting. Okay.
Judith Henderson, who is an accomplished children's writer, was someone who had watched, I did a TED Talk 100 years ago. She watched that, and then I think she watched Becoming Naguset, and she goes, "I know your story. I can make it into a children's book." And I'm like, "Why do you want to traumatize children?" I didn't see it. She had to talk me into it. She's like, I know how to do this. I know how to take a sad story, but to make it into something sort of tangible for children from 6 to 11 or something like that. And I'm like, okay, lady, if you think you can do it, I will tell you my story. Good luck with that.
No, but you know what? Like I said, that is so important because I care very deeply about making sure that the books that my daughter reads are very, diverse and represent diverse authors and people from diverse backgrounds, and some of her favorite stories are about, like her favorite one specifically is this little girl who has Down syndrome who imagines she's a princess. And, like these kinds of stories I think are so important. And I think your story is also important for kids to hear and understand because maybe they weren't, going to experience residential schools or the 60s scoop, but a lot of kids are in foster care. A lot of kids experience violence and adoption, and they're processing probably very similar emotions to you.
Yeah. And I was really happy with, it took us a long time. This book took 4 years.
Yeah.
Because I said, I'm not doing it unless I have an Indigenous illustrator.
For sure.
And they couldn't find one. But, I have a wide circle.
Of course you do.
So someone had reached out to me who had seen the Crave series, Little Bird.
Yep.
And I worked in that. I was like a consultant in that. So she was writing to me about it. And then I was like, well, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm an illustrator. I'm like, oh my God, can you please write to Knopf and let them know what you do? And they hired her.
Amazing.
And she did such a good job.
She did.
Gorgeous, the book. It's beautiful. And most illustrators for books usually takes them 6 months. I think she did in 2 months. And she was just furious doing it. It was
there's an illustration of you at the end of the book as an adult, and it's uncanny. It is you. It looks just like you. It's so well done.
But the truth is that I gave her pictures.
Oh, okay. Well, that helps.
So yes, that's why. Because people look, I'm like, wow, that looks just like you when you're little. I'm like, yeah, I know, because I gave her pictures of me. So. Yeah, she did such a good job, and there's a lot of symbolism in what she did. Apparently she had seeds instead of my dresses, and then by the end of it, there were actual flowers. Just to sort of show. She had ribbons. Anyway, you have to look at it. It's lovely.
For sure. I love also that you highlighted your relationship with your bubby in the story, because I think sometimes when children are adopted, my brother is adopted, so there's a lot of confusion around your relationship with your new family and your old family, and there's a lot there. It's complex, but you had a wonderful relationship with your grandmother, didn't you?
Yeah, and she helped me. Things that she had cancer, she knew she was dying. She knew that once, that she passed on, that I wouldn't have anyone. So she was like, I'm going to send you home. I'm going to send you, there's a family, I'm sure. And meanwhile, my sister was waiting. She was desperately looking for me. So it was beautiful to have, the connection I had with my bubby. And once my bubby passed away, then I had my sister, right? Yeah. So, and that, I'm telling my bubby used to tell me that, you're going to do great things one day. And I was like, when I was young, when I was in my mid-20s, I'm like, no, I'm not going to do anything great. I'm going to go to jail. I'm going to end up like a statistic, right? And yet she believed in me, and because of her and because of, meeting my real family, getting my Indian status and going back to school and getting an education and, and it's 20-something years. I'm the executive director of the Native Women's Shelter. It's incredible. So I totally, if it wasn't for my bubby, I don't think I would be here. So everything worked out in the best way.
For kids and parents who are reading this book together, especially Indigenous children who may see parts of themselves in your story, what do you hope they walk away with when they sort of close the book, when they're finished reading the story?
Well, I think anyone in a cross-cultural adoption, sometimes you feel like you have to sort of honor the culture you're absorbed into, but you should also honor your own. And I think that is super important. And also having a mentor, I find that, the relationship between a grandchild and a grandparent is often very, very close, so to just reach out, and to, just really honoring your heritage. It's really, really important, because when you don't, I know so many kids that went through the 60s scoop that were sort of absorbed and didn't know where they belonged and just ended up down the wrong road. And, the adoption statistics in terms of, relationships that worked, are 15%.
Wow.
Right? So, it's it's quite, and there's still an enormous amount of Indigenous kids in foster care.
Yes.
So, I mean, ideally, I know Judith would love it if this book was in like every school.
Yeah.
You know, so it's accessible, that it's in the libraries. Apparently it will be in the libraries in the city of Montreal, all the city libraries. I've talked to someone recently about that.
Amazing. Well, that's good news. The name of the book, by the way, is I Am My Name. Nagasette, director of the Native Women's Shelter of Montreal, co-founder of Resilience Montreal. Thank you so much for sharing a bit about the book. And congratulations. It's honestly beautiful, and I can't wait to read it to my daughter.
Thank you. And also, if you go to Babar Books in Point St. Clair, there's autographed books there. Me and Judith, we autographed them. Yeah. So.
Ooh, fancy. A little pro tip for you. Thank you, Nagasette. Happy New Year.
Take care.
Introducing Bryan Adams Radio on iHeartRadio. Hosted by Bryan Adams himself.
Join me for an insider look on a wild ride through 40 years of global rock and roll.
Bryan Adams Radio. Now available on the free iHeartRadio app. Or ask your smart speaker to play Bryan Adams Radio on iHeartRadio.
Who's ready to rock?
Kids wanna rock.